Hey Nakama, this is Gomu Gomu. It's me. My name is Alden, and today we're going to be talking about episode 1075, 20 years worth of prayers, take back Wano country. Let's get into this. Okay, so the last episode, or the last video I did rather, was talking about the live action. So getting back into the anime, I haven't mentioned the new intro. And the beginning is okay with the majority of it being shown through the ink circle and stuff. But after they get out the circle, it gets a whole lot better, and the animation is just impeccable, very top tier, with references to Joy Boy, obviously. Fighting that's happened. Captain Kidd is in it, sitting there laughing, walking away while people are around him. Yamato is having fun as well. Everybody seems to be in a very celebratory, setting. So that kind of like gives us some foreshadowing. The song is good, but it's not the best song that we've had in Wano. I still hold Dreamin' On as the top song, but it's still pretty good though. It's not like bad. I love how the scope of how big Wano is in the ending of the intro, with scenes being shown and placed in the outline of the word One Piece. Like, it's really cool how they did that. Like, they showed a whole bunch of screens of things happening, and it's been a long ass journey. I mean, the journey's not over, but just showing how big Wano was really cool to see for the intro. So the episode starts off with Kaido looking up at Luffy's fist raining down. Like, it's one of those anime things where in real time this sequence happens like this, right? But in anime, you have time to shout, you have time to go read a book, whatever, right? So Luffy's asking Momo, he goes, "Yo, move on Onigashima out the way," which is a task in itself, but Luffy's looking to end it, but protect everybody on the island. He just wants to get rid of Kaido. Kaido's the only one. Luffy's still in the mindset that even bad people can be saved in a sense, right? But Kaido is just irreprehensible, so he's not really budging on that. But after Luffy tells Momo this, you can start to see Momo still struggle with his insecurities, being a grown man in a little kid's brain, or being a little kid in whatever. But so you can see him fighting with this, which we're just cutting back and forth at this point. But as that's happening, and they shit, move my camera. I'm getting too excited. But as that's happening, Luffy and Kaido get into an epic anime stare down. It's one of those, like, it pans to him, pans to him. They look at each other. Nothing happens, but they're still looking at each other. It was pretty funny. Kaido isn't budging, and Luffy isn't really giving him a chance, because he's holding on to Kaido while his fist is about to rain down. But I mean, Kaido's not a wimp; he's an emperor, so he breaks free of Luffy's hand by burning it. Which this like fucking move is, I mean, it's like I knew he could use flames and stuff, but just seeing how he's bending it to his will is kind of pretty crazy. But I digress. Um, so he burns Luffy's hand. Luffy's doing that whole animation thing, and then he engulfs himself in flames, telling Luffy he's not gonna move out the way. He's like, "You think I'm scared of you, bro?" So, so Kaido ends up talking about the prophecy of heroes 20 years in the future, and how Luffy and his friends are those heroes, but a hero was burned to death 20 years ago, and it looks like another one is about to be. So, I just want to mention that Flame Dragon Torch is fire, no pun intended, obviously, but just seeing that, like, in the animation style was just, that shit was crazy. But Kaido is using his techniques to deter Luffy from throwing his fist as he unleashes some hellish fire. Luffy blocks and says proudly, "I'm not gonna melt," which I don't know is like, I don't really think you can do that. Be like, yeah, I'm not gonna burn, like rubber can burn. So I, yeah, that happened. So Luffy again, is sitting there talking about he's not even gonna have to touch him because he's learned Ryo. So, he throws down the Barang gun as Kaido does a rising dragon, which is basically him going up in the air. This is one thing, and I'm gonna get right back to the episode, but this is one thing I hate in anime. They have these names for these fucking moves, which is literally them like moving forward. Now I'm not talking about like instant transmission, like teleporting or whatever, but I'm talking about like, I can't think of, and it's funny, I probably should have written some of these down, but just rising dragon, and what does he do? Goes forward. Like, I get that it's a rising, whatever. It's one of those things about anime that like really grinds my gears, but whatever. But then he adds a flame Bagua, which creates the energy beam battle we all know and love in anime, although this isn't like pure energy. So you can see in the thumbnail, Luffy's raining down his fist. Kaido is like pushing forward with basically like a Sasano, like like his body is engulfed in flames, and like there's like a big cutout of Kaido's head with Kaido behind. You see what I'm saying? So it's like an energy battle. It's pretty cool to see. You don't really get too many of those in One Piece because nobody really does like energy stuff. But now the camera pans back to the inside of Onigashima, and the samurai were still rallied by Luffy. We get a flashback to Oden's death and the events after, where Kaido wanted to find Momo, and the pure chaos, suffering, and pain that Kaido and Orochi caused, which are insurmountable. Like, the fact that they took over a country. Now I get, there's two sides to every story, and I get Orochi feels like he has a reason to do all these things. I mean, two wrongs don't make a right, but I guess, not in Orochi's eyes. Um, but like seeing all the things that happened was just great. Like how this, I'm just gonna mention this, how this anime went from a guy who shoots gum pistols to forced labor, slavery, weapon creation, tainting water. Like when I try to tell people to get into One Piece, they don't understand how deep things are. It's not just, oh, there's these guys and they're on a guys and girls and they're on a pirate ship and blah blah blah. And no, it's way deeper than that. But I digress. Um, so we also get to see how the daimyo stood up to Orochi valiantly. I mean, it was, and it's saddening to say, but it was all for naught because Kaido hit him with a one blast breath and took everybody out. I still to this day, after seeing Oden and everything he did, and how, I'm not gonna say scared Kaido was, but like how Kaido was excited, because Kaido's one of those rare breeds of whatever you want to call him, that gets excited by the idea of death. So seeing when Oden went full force and then got distracted by all those shenanigans, I still think to this day that Oden would have beaten Kaido, but conspiracy theory, we'll never know. Um, I also, another conspiracy theory, which is a great segue. I still think Wano is where Zoro's dad is from. No matter what anybody says, I don't care. The Shimutsuki village and the people like Ryuma, and I always forget the other guy's name, but I know that I can't just say, oh, they look alike, so they're related, because almost every woman looks like Nami, so I guess every woman is Nami's relative. So, but I'm just saying, the swordsman, the dedication, the loyalty, there has to be, whatever. um, the flashback shows the harsh treatment and forced labor by Kaido on the people of Wano, and how the land became desolate and uninhabitable. I mean, they literally destroyed the land, the water, everything except one central place, which is just beyond messed up, that not everybody could live in. It was just, so there was no food, water for anybody, anything, nobody cared, whatever. So with food supplies being zero, bare, nothing, right? A bag of fruits was, suspiciously dropped off, in the poorer areas of Wano. And guess what? The people were relieved to get them, because we're hungry. My kids haven't eaten. My mom hasn't eaten. My grandparents haven't eaten. I haven't eaten. Like, this is fruit that we can eat this. And guess what? They turn out to be the smile fruits. Orochi is in the background, sitting there celebrating his, victory, saying, look at all these people. They're just going to be laughing no matter what kind of sick stuff happens to them. And it's just, it really, like, I know you're not supposed to get too enamored with what's going on in, in anime, but Orochi, and I think, I'm not sure, but he feels very based on a dictator. His actions and how he treats the people in his country, except the one area, is very similar to someone in the world. But I digress. I'm not going to get too into that. This is not what this video is about. So, we get back to present day, right? So Orochi and Hiyori are in a stare down, and Orochi rambles off about what he had to endure, and why he's doing everything he's doing, and how he's going to take everyone with him, and he charges at Hiyori when he starts to I'm gonna call it hallucinate, but he starts to see the shadow of the 9 Akazaya pop up in his head. And what do you know? Denjiro slashes him, protecting Hiyori like he was tasked to do 20 years ago. And then, we cut back to the people of the Flower Capital, and all the lights for the Light Festival, in tradition, they write their wishes and, send them up in the air. They all say, get us away from Orochi, get us away from Kaido, release us from the cell. Like, nobody in the country is for this except the people doing it. And it's pretty messed up, but, at least you get to see that even the people in the Flower Capital, like, nobody's been corrupted to the point where they say something stupid like, yeah, let's get another 20 years of this, like people in Wano want Wano to do well. So now we cut back to Momo, who's struggling with his inner self, still being a child, and still being tasked with something that somebody 20 years his elder would be more capable of doing. And I feel like the reason he's always struggling and panicking, and he just doesn't feel like he'll be able to live up to his family name, the Kozuki. And there are high expectations for Momo because he is, Kozuki Oden's son. One of the greatest samurai to ever lived, has been told by everybody. So, Momo's struggling, but then he hears a voice and sees a vision of Toki and Oden. And they're telling him, like, you can do this. This is what was meant to happen. Oden's saying he believes in him. So, they're sitting there showing Momo all this. And then, we cut back again to Usopp finding Kinemon and Kiku barely holding on. Now, this is just, like, we've seen Usopp twice. And one was him, like, asking what's going on. And now he's finding, the 2 people in the Akazaya. So, not too much going on with him right now because he's still, like, everybody's still scrambling around. There's fire all over Onigashima and then water port. Like, it's crazy. So, we get another cut. Like, this episode had a lot of cutting back and forth. Like, there wasn't one main focus. Like, let's say when Luffy became Joy Boy, or when, Gear 5, whatever. Or, certain battles and stuff. This was literally all over the place. They were showing you flashbacks. They were showing you what's happening with Momo. They were showing you what's happening inside the Flower Capital. So it was it was a lot of information packed into one. So the samurai are praying that Luffy can defeat Kaido. Hyogoro is sitting there telling him, straw man, you can do it, stuff like that. So it's just going back and forth showing the different samurai. And the end of the episode is the anime beam battle stare down, and they're both yelling. Like, one's looking and like nothing happens, but they're just staring at each other and yelling. So that's what's going on with that. The next episode looks like a little bit of a flashback on Kaido's life, and I'm not saying anything, but we know what those episodes tend to mean. I'm just saying, no spoilers. But anyways, so that was what happened in that episode. My breakdown of the episode, it was a decent episode. There wasn't too much. There wasn't too much going on, but a lot was going on, if that makes sense. Because there's so many storylines going on, in One Piece at one given time. But the main one everybody's been, focused on is obviously Kaido and Luffy. Gear 5, everybody's hyped. Shut down the internet, all that stuff, right? So, it was a good episode in the sense that we're getting to the point where it's coming to the conclusion. We're getting to the climax. We're getting to the apex, and then it's gonna, we're getting to the peak, and then bam, right? I'm not saying it's gonna go downhill, but you get what I'm saying. So we're getting to that. So now they're gonna just stuff in, and it's not like filler or anything, but like there's all stuff that happened in the manga, and stuff that you should know, stuff we should all be paying attention to, because there's just so much information to be out that is out there that we need to know. So I think it was a solid episode. Yeah, it was out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 6.57 maybe. Not like the greatest, but not like bad, like not average. So it was a little bit above average. But anyways, so that was my review for this episode. I think during the week I will do a review of the live action. Don't hold me to that, but I will hold myself to that. So I'm gonna start doing episode 1 by 1 live action reviews. So that'll be fun, I think. And yeah, please comment, share, and subscribe. Be safe and well in your travels, and just know I will be the king of YouTube. Peace.